Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Perception Paradox. My name is Jivila, and I'm your host. And today we are back with the TechBBQ conference, which is happening every year in Copenhagen series, where I interviewed founders, investors, philanthropists, people who play an active role in the startup scene. And today's guest is Maria Therese. Back in 2018, she founded a QuietSpace, which is a bridge to the inner foundation that connects us all our hearts. And it's an invitation to step into stillness, embrace our shared humanity, and navigate life with a greater clarity, purpose, and ease. And first time I've got connected with Maria back in 2019 when I was still working at TechBBQ, and she had her QuietSpace at Matrical One, where our office was based. And I remember it was still before COVID, and talking about mental health, about creating space for a bit of groundness, it was not that common to what I recall. And seeing her already back then being such a big advocate on that and continuing her growth, it was really great to talk to her here on the podcast. And during the conference, she was also hosting on stages collective meditation for everyone to ground and get ready what's happening on stage. And we also started our conversation with grounding and and just getting into the flow. So I would like to invite you all to join us. Also be aware that the video itself cuts after 10 minutes, but the audio remains. So I hope you stay with us till the end and you enjoy this episode. I would say about how can we be more mindful and grounded in this busy world. So let's dive in, and I hope you enjoy. Real people, real stories, and real challenges that break the status quo. I'm your host, Jivila, and welcome to Perception Paradox. Ladies and gentlemen, I guess I said it all. We can start. This is Maria from QuietSpace. And we are here today to explore how can we pause in this perhaps very fast-paced world and don't lose ourselves through the grind and big ambitions and big visions, but maybe to try build in a slower and more conscious way. So welcome, Maria.
Thank you. Thank you for reaching out. Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining me today.
And usually, as you know, I would probably start with an arrival meditation, right? And it's sometimes a little different when there's a camera, right? Because people are going to be listening. So either they join.
Okay.
But
we can do it.
Should we do it?
I'm open. Yes,
Okay.
absolutely. And everyone who is listening can do that as well.
Maybe we just want to, if it feels right for you, we can just close our eyes. And then just sensing the seat we're sitting on. And sensing into how we're feeling right now. And perhaps not trying so much to feel it from an intellectual view, but really sense into the body. Everything is welcome. Is there is there happiness or stress? And it's all welcome. Because as I love to say, and it's not my quote, it's wherever we go, there we are. And right now, we're right here with everything that belongs. The joy, the stress. It all belongs. And then the beauty about coming back to presence is that we remember that we're actually alive and breathing. And that in itself is a beautiful gift. So when it feels right for you, then perhaps just kind of bring your shoulders back a little bit and And at the same time, lower your gaze and just gently opening your eyes and taking the outside light in. And the person next to you.
Can we continue? I'm like in a private meditation session now. Thank you.
Yeah, and it's funny because John Kabat-Zinn, who I quoted, he also says, meditation is like a love affair, right? Once you get started, you can't let go.
So talking about the love affair, so when did your love affair with meditation has started?
So mine started in 2015, 2014, 2015, and yeah, it's I think I've always been feeling like something was missing, like not being fully present. And then the first time I went to a course, really just a course from the Kommune, on mindfulness and meditation, she said, bring back your awareness, to your breath, to your body. I was like, what? And it's so simple. And I was like, and right then, and I can get touched when I talk about it. That instant was what I've been looking for my whole life. This, like, I don't like to use the word peace because peace is like, oh, we all want this peace, right? So mine started in 2014, 15.
That's beautiful.
And I've been practicing ever since.
Do you usually practice every day, or how did you integrate it into your life?
So you're asking a really, really, really important question. Probably the key question is that there's no such thing as there is, and there's not as a separation, because mindfulness, it's our whole lives, right? So we can say we have the formal practice where we actually sit on a pillow or do walking meditation, which is in the sense the training, right? But the real training is our life. So for me, it's actually not a separation. And I really mean since 2014, the more I started understanding this, it's just a path. And for me, even though I've been doing it for 14 years, because we never finish because it's our lives, but maybe I understand this much, right? And for me, it sounds like a sales thing, which it's the only, and I do feel quite strong about, it's the only practice which can bring some, which can save the world. Because if we don't understand the way of the mind, and everything which is happening in the world is caused by humans. So if we don't start to understand what's going on here and cultivating the qualities of our heart, because what's going on here is often fear-based, what's going on here, if you're cultivating your heart, is love-based, right? So for me, it's a practice which is the only practice in the world which is free, not only, let's just say, and it's something which connects us all. So it's really, so we all.
When it comes to meditation nowadays, we have a lot of different people sharing different views on meditation. Some of the people say that meditation is only if you sit down and empty your head. Someone else saying meditation is not about emptying your head. Someone else saying meditation can be walking. It's more about getting in content and in peace within your inner self and quieting your mind from external noise. What would be your perhaps definition and understanding of meditation for someone who is still rediscovering or discovering the connection with it?
That's also a really good question. I think, of course, to get interested in something, we maybe start because there's a suffering, we're not aware of it, right? And so maybe we jump into that then. But I think it's very important that in a sense, it's not about us, right? And that you start to understand when you start to understand what's going on in your mind, right? Because when you have a sitting meditation, and I do mostly insight meditation, then you really see that what's going on here, that you're the center of attention, right? Right. And that can bring misery, right? And once you can start to let go, because the freedom is not, we always say, we want more of something, less of something. We like or we don't like, right? So we're always pushing away or wanting. And when you start to notice that, then you start noticing, what if you don't have something you're going towards, then maybe there's a bit of peace, right? So to answer your question, I think the most important is not to be too ambitious, and sit and sit. I don't know. So many people are saying so much about how long to sit, and lately, some people who I speak with are saying, some founders, if you just sit 10 minutes every day, right? Just commit to 10 minutes, and it's hard to understand that we're not doing it for ourselves, because we need to get through ourselves first, right? But once you start understanding that, then it's the sitting which pulls you. I mean, does that make sense? Yeah.
It does make sense. You know what I would keep hearing? That if you don't have 10 minutes to meditate, then you should sit down for 1 hour.
The funny thing is, I know this quote, and I have it in front of QuietSpace.
Yes.
You're the second person today who says this to me. And I don't usually, and it's so true. And it's really true, right?
Yeah.
Because, I mean, technology is beautiful, but I don't see how, when we're suffering, like if we're losing someone, it's this we have to understand, right? We have to, and I keep pointing, I mean, it's how does this work, right? How are you with it? What's your relationship? That's the key always, right? And how long do you want to stay in this holding on and understanding how this affects this? And are you closing your heart? Are you opening it? And so if we don't understand that, I have a brother who says, we're so busy going to the moon to find out what's going on there, we don't even know what's going on here.
Yeah.
And that's why you also get addicted, because you start over every day in a sense. And it's just like you keep following love, and it keeps getting more vast, because more and more is like, it's as if there's more and more love coming, and it sounds, it's and then I also have to say that, I have, sometimes I have some, just the other day as well, you're always so happy. And I always say, but it's hard work, because it is, it really is, because you have to choose. It's like, do I want to go out and have a coffee or whatever, and I know if I don't have my practice, you also lose. Somebody said to me once, the further away I get from my pillow, the shorter my breaths. And we know that when our breath is like this, we're not feeling good.
Yeah.
It's hard work, right? But it doesn't necessarily have to be it, because we have our lives to practice. That's why we're here, right? To practice, right? And hopefully, if we're lucky, we can have a long life and we can practice a lot. It's really the whole essence of meditation. It's not separate. And I think that's a big misconception. I was answering your question, what type do you do? It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Because it's all the time. And when you understand that, it's, some people say that like peace is in every moment, but not every moment is peaceful. It's true. Because why? Because this one is wanting more, wanting things to be different. It's like, okay, what happens if I let go? I have a funny example. I got some A3s printed for my QuietSpace space here. And I had to get it this morning, and they made a spelling check. And I had sent them a new file. And I was like, first I was like, and of course, very quickly, I was thinking, oh, then they should make me not pay, or I should. And then, and this is what the practice does. I was like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. How quickly can I let go? The longer you stay, the more you're like, argh. So how long, just you can, and take care of yourself. We can't always, open. It's not about being like, argh, It's about how, yeah.
Beautiful. And so when you discovered meditation and it became an integral part of who you are, that you've realized that's something you were missing and it kind of filled, I wouldn't like to say the void, but this final piece of puzzle called life, this full integration. How did the quiet space concept and this whole, I would call it entrepreneurial endeavor came then into your life?
Well, actually, I've always been needing myself quiet spaces because I'm a slow thinker and I'm a person who needs stillness. So then I had some tea parlors, which were all about that when I moved to Denmark and opened them. And then after I was like, oh, I think we need these spaces which are slow in the corporate world. And then I wasn't meditating yet there, and I actually didn't know what it was. And then I went to this course, and then I was like, okay. And then I couldn't let go. And it came, so I started, looking more into it. And it's because for me, it's very important to have these spaces because this practice needs to be maintained, right? The sitting practice, right? So we can bring it out into our lives. So the whole essence of quiet space is that in Danish you say it's vedligeholdelse and tilgængelighed. And it almost sounds nice in Danish, but it means, that we need to maintain and it's available. So for me, it's very important that we have spaces which are available all the time so you can maintain your practice, right? And that's, it's a lot to do with that, which I was also looking into back then, which is like 7 years ago, that a lot of companies are investing, money in well-being initiatives facilitated by someone usually. As soon as the facilitator leaves, it's as if the blanket is taken. So to have a space, which is, and this is, with mindfulness or meditation or, so if we have a space which can hold us, a foundation, then you don't lose it. Because most people I meet, they lose it, right? Because they cannot, it's so hard to maintain because of course there's this, things which are more, that's the way the mind works, right? The way we work. So to have these rooms in the office, right? And where we take off our shoes and, okay, then we're already de-armoring ourselves, right? In the office because we have our shoes off and we're like, and we have to go back and remember ourselves all the time. It's because I always say, technology is like, it's going fast, but if we don't, we need this wisdom. We can't move forward when it's short-sighted, right? And I think even the father of AI, I forgot his name, Gil, he says the same. He warned it, right? He warned about it. So and the meditation of the means self-remembrance, right? So to remember ourselves. So to have these rooms where we can go in and it's not necessarily about, finding peace because we don't find peace. We have to understand what's in the way of finding peace. Well, a funny thing is this is in the way. So if you can start understanding what's in the way, then you can start being like, okay, what is it I'm holding on to? What is it I'm not letting go of? And then it's like, okay, maybe. But it's a different definition of what people think peace is, right? It's like, I'm going on vacation. I want peace before that, or I want peace on my vacation. Okay, but how do you get that?
Yeah, absolutely. Do you think meditation is something that can be forced before it becomes a habit?
Sorry, what?
Do you think meditation is something that can be forced before it becomes a habit and integral part of life?
So, I thought about that. And I'm thinking because there's a lot of mindfulness in prisons, so I'm curious on that, because I don't know. For me, and this is just mine, I think most things we do which are sustainable has to come from a place of kindness, right? Because otherwise it's really hard. And this practice, you cannot, it's training. Meditation is also training kindness, right? Mindfulness is the same as heartfulness, right? So, because when you observe that you're being hard on yourself, that you're judging yourself, which is not being kind to yourself, then you let go and you're like, oh, that was not very kind. So I think with most habits that need to be sustainable, I think we need to but most of us don't know what it means to be kind to ourselves, right? So I'm feeling maybe I'm not enlightened on the whole answer, because I guess some things, you can perhaps, do some things, and I hate the word with force, with discipline, right? But the discipline has to be, in Danish there's a word called kærlighedsdisciplin. So love discipline.
Yeah.
Then then maybe we're talking something, right?
I always like to say that if you have your why, the rest comes with an ease and kindness.
Yes.
But if you don't see your why,
Yes.
it will feel like judgment. And
yes. Thing is, the why in this, because meditation is an ethical practice, and the why in this is, yes, we have to take care of ourselves and transform, for the sake of the world, right?
Yeah.
I mean, and that's the why. But often we're stuck in the little why, right? The I, which is surrounded by fear, right? Yeah, which is okay. Okay.
And it's also good to fear and to accept that, and
fear is okay,
Yeah.
Because otherwise love wouldn't have an opposite, right?
100%. Yin and yang, right?
So we just need to know we're in it, right?
Yeah.
We're not be oblivious. We need to know there's fear, and that it's not,
Yeah.
and how long, okay, is it serving me?
What do you wish people knew about meditation?
That it's not separate. That it is, your practice is your life. Because I think that's the big misconception. And I think that this whole idea of I don't have time, it's already there. How are you in a relationship? It's already there. You don't need the time. You need the awareness. So it's like, are you willing or you're not willing?
Yeah. Did you find your why or not yet? Oh my God.
So yeah. And it is,
Yeah, Maria, time is flying. And we're getting closer to the end, and perhaps next time we see each other, maybe in your meditation quiet space, with more longer form of conversation. But I have this tradition on the podcast. I like to leave the listeners and also ourselves after the episode with thought to ponder. So what would be your thought, a question for everyone who is here with us today, perhaps male entrepreneurs or people who are into health, entrepreneurship, philosophy, just after today, what they heard, what they can take out of the episode and to think through?
Suffering comes up, right? So I think the Buddha said there is suffering, and there's a way out of suffering. It's part of his noble truths, and I think if you're interested in alleviating suffering, in the West we think suffering is something that I'm really hurting, but suffering is inevitable: physical, mental, emotional. So if there is suffering in any way in your life, then perhaps just sitting 10 minutes per day in a formal practice can give some insight to how we can be free of suffering.
Maria, thank you so much for joining today and finding time in this fast-paced week in Copenhagen, with a lot of events happening, lots of conversations and people. And thank you everyone who joined us today. It was Maria from QuietSpace, a person who radiates wisdom and this, I don't know, I would say like this in content. And yeah, thank you everyone who listened to us. Enjoy the rest of the conference, and I guess see you when I see you.
Thank
you.